Good afternoon. My name is Denisha, and this is my assignment for Module 6, the impact of culture, race, immigration, and discrimination in classrooms. To begin, a summary of cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence is when one is able to collaborate and be relatable with other people from different cultures. Cultural intelligence is all about being culturally aware and having a sense of understanding derived from learned skills and the know-how to navigate in culturally diverse experiences and situations. Next, I'm going to talk about a description of how culture impacts students. According to Nursing Hero's article on cultural and societal influences on child development, there are a couple of different ways that culture can impact students and how they develop. So the first point that I made were developmental milestones. And I would like to say that milestones tend to universally have a huge impact on the different cultures of students. For example, puberty has an impact culturally through self-esteem, which is how students may experience self-consciousness and may seek validation from others. Another biological milestone through puberty is when children begin to experience conflicts with their parents about common things like clothing, curfew, privacy, and choices in friends, hobbies, and different interests that they may take up. Another cultural impact to child development are different parenting styles, according to Nursing Hero. And the article, by the way, is Cultural and Societal Influences on Child Development. Is the different parenting styles. Culture can impact students through parenting styles. Some students experience parenting through an authoritative standpoint, which is characterized by the parent giving reasonable demands, setting consistent limits, expressing warmth and affection, and listening to the child's point of view. This style of parenting is commonly accepted amongst American parents. On the contrast, authoritarian parents who place high value, on conformity and obedience, tightly monitoring their children and expressing less warmth, are seen as normal and highly effective. This parenting style is commonly adopted amongst Chinese American parents. So there's a difference in the cultures and the different styles and how they choose to parent their child. Another cultural impact on a child's development is race and racial stereotypes. In America, we are divided by races and classes with varying dynamics. The race that a child is born of stereotypically determines the type of hardships that they commonly face through life. It is not unknown or a shock that if you are born into the Caucasian or white race, that you are not easily stereotyped negatively because of privilege. On the other hand, minorities such as African Americans and Hispanics have always been viewed as the races who have negative stereotypes attached to them because of their skin color. Negative stereotypes tend to invoke fear, intimidation, anxiety, and reduce performance socially, cognitively, emotionally, and academically. Next, I want to touch on a summary of how immigration influences children's development. Immigration can have a big influence on a child's development mentally, behaviorally, and academically. According to the American Immigration Council, since late 2016, doctors and service providers report having seen more immigrant children exhibiting stress and anxiety-related behavioral changes, including symptoms of toxic stress. Children of immigrants are increasingly at risk of having issues that affect their mental health, like PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and separation anxiety disorder, which is also commonly shortened to SAD. The factors that can contribute to the stated diagnosis can boil down to a lack of support in community, the family experiencing a burden on some sort of way, and battling consistently with discrimination. Academically, students who are enrolled in ELL classes, which is short for English Language Learner classes, may experience challenges if they don't have supportive and patient educators. The outcome of this is commonly seen as immigrant children performing poorly in school. Behaviorally, immigrant children are more likely to experience mood swings, which could include aggression, clinginess, anger, and extreme changes in eating and sleeping habits. A description of how prejudice and discrimination impacts children's development. According to Nursing Heroes' article on cultural and societal influences on child development, intersectionality is the study of intersections or the relationships between different forms of systems of discrimination or oppression. This is basically stating that cultures within social, biological, and cultural categories such as gender, race, religion, and sexual orientation, to name a few, can greatly contribute to social inequality. These varying forms all spell out discrimination in several forms, including racism, sexism, and transphobia. Now, I'm going to provide 2 examples of how children explore racial and cultural identities through classroom or experiences for early childhood and also for children in the grades kindergarten and up. An example of how children explore racial and cultural identities through play in early childhood are to play dress up with cultural wear from different cultures to help children get an idea of expressing it through pretend play. Some clothing options can include a kimono or a sombrero. Secondly, children can explore cultural identities through play by recreating cultural experiences that they share at home with their families through pretend play with play food or toy objects. This is the opportunity for children to learn about different holidays that are celebrated in different cultures and special foods that they prepare with their families out of tradition. Next, 2 examples of how children explore racial and cultural identities through classroom or school experiences for kindergarten and up. An example of how children explore racial and cultural identities through classroom or school experiences for kindergarten and up is by having a show and tell where students can introduce items from their cultural traditions that represent their nationality. Secondly, children can explore cultural identities through reading culturally diverse books with different main characters from a variety of cultures to show how people from different cultures live similarly or different lives within their culture and how they navigate through their experiences. Next, I'm going to touch on, as a teacher, how would I attempt to reduce children's prejudices in the classroom environment? As an educator, I can reduce my students' chances of experiencing prejudices in the classroom setting by ensuring my students that I respect them and will support them as they inquire about their cultures and other cultures, and I can encourage my students to take pride in who they are. Next, I can incorporate culturally responsive material into my lesson planning to give my students something to connect to as they learn the content. A couple examples for you. Reading books to them about children from different cultures, experiencing everyday things to show them that they can relate to them, and to promote empathy. According to the article by PBS SoCal entitled 5 Anti-Bias Educational Strategies for Early Childhood Classrooms, A good book that teaches about diversity and why we all have different skin is a book called All the Colors We Are by Kate Kissinger. A classroom activity to add on to reading this book to your students, to my students, would be that I could provide different shades of paint swatches in the shades of brown, peach, and tan, and have all the students to help each other find the color that matches their skin the most. And I would just spread those color swatches throughout the classroom for the students to do like a little search and find. Also, I could provide a big binder with plastic sleeves labeled for each student and allow them to fill their sleeves with pictures, drawings, and things that represent them and their different cultures. They can be called me pockets for other students to view as they learn about their classmates' different cultures. Lastly, I can assign projects that require group collaboration and make sure to pair students from different cultures to encourage students to learn from and see things from perspectives of students who are of different nationalities. The last thing that I want to share is an anecdotal story about a personal experience that I had growing up dealing with cultural differences and different things like that. So this story happened a long time ago when I first moved to Evergreen Park. Basically, I remember I was like in the 3rd grade. I was really new to the neighborhood. I had to be about like 8 or 9 years old. And coming from the south side of Chicago, I was so used to seeing everyone who looked like me, you know, black kids of a different, background and things like that. So when my father moved us to this middle class neighborhood, it was still predominantly, a lot of white people. And as I got older, the city started to be a lot more integrated. I started to see a lot more black faces. But when I first moved over there, I believe it was only like 1 or 2 black families on the block that I was on, and my family was one of the black families. And at this time, they were still using the N-word and different things like that, which could be a shock, but not to me because I actually lived through it. So to get to the anecdotal story, I can't remember the teacher's name, but I do remember I was in class one day and there was this white girl. Her name was Victoria. Very weird looking girl. Not because she's white, she just was weird. And so she, I don't remember what we were doing or anything like that, but I just remember the incident. I remember that she hit me for whatever reason. I don't really remember, but I do remember that I hit her back because I just never tolerated things like that, so I hit her back and she just was like really upset about it. She went to go and tell the teacher. And so she told the teacher that she kept saying, she smacked me. And I kept saying, no, I didn't smack you. Like, because from where I come from, smacking somebody is like smacking somebody in the face. Not smack, because I believe I hit her like on her arm or whatever. It was probably, I don't know, like a natural reflex. I don't even remember where she hit me, but I just know that she hit me. And I know I didn't hit her in the face, which is where I come from. It's called smacking, not what she is saying. So she was like hysterical. She was crying. And basically she went to go and tell the teacher. The teacher came over like with a mean look and everything. And she was asking me what happened. And I basically told her that Victoria hit me and I hit her back. And that's just the end of it. And so Victoria started basically lying, saying that I just hit her for no reason. And so I got sent to the principal's office, and I don't really remember if it escalated to me getting in trouble or not. I wasn't a bad student. I've always been a good student. I always got good grades. And so moving forward, I remember this particular teacher, she just always was real cold towards me after that. I just never felt like she like really liked me after that as a student, which was really weird. So basically, just another add-on to how I felt like she stereotyped me, you know, as being like the new black kid or whatever. I don't know if she felt like I was just like a troublemaker or whatever. But so I remember she had given this incentive to the class that like whoever can write the best paragraph with no spelling errors and things like that about a famous black figure for Black History Month, then we would get a $5 McDonald's gift card. So I remember I wrote my paragraph on Jackie Robinson, the baseball player. And so my paragraph was 100, it got 100%. She even put a star on it because I guess it was like that good, which I've always been really good with English and spelling and things like that, even at a young age, at 8 or 9, because I used to read the dictionary for fun. But that's just another fun fact about me. But anyway, so she ended up giving the gift card to a white kid that didn't even get 100%. He got like a 98% because of spelling errors. And so she ended up giving it to him and not to me. And I felt like she did that because she just didn't like me and she was just stereotyping me. But that's just a anecdotal story, just a small story, just to touch on what we were talking about when I was talking about racial stereotypes, things that can culturally impact the development of a child. Gratefully and thankfully, it didn't really impact me because I've always been firm in knowing who I am, and I never let anyone deter me, or not even a teacher, to affect how I performed academically or affect my social skills like that, you know. But it could have, you know, because of the negative stereotype that she was placing on me from an incident that wasn't even true. But thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. Again, my name is Denisha, and this is my assignment on cultural differences in immigration from Module 6 in EDU 299 with Dr. Fitch. Thank you. Bye-bye.